I'd like to say welcome to everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Um, I hope that everyone is having a good morning. It's afternoon already, but for some of us, it's still morning. I actually got my supermarket delivery, which I ordered 2.5 weeks ago. So I'm so excited. Now I have food in Tel Aviv. Um, anyway, so we're talking about Google Sites, and at some point I'm going to bash in and give another little 3 minutes of what I want to say. It's fantastic at this. This session is actually something that was requested last week in the forms that you're filling out. The form that you're filling out, the last question is, do you need anything else about this topic or any other topic? Which is why we want you to fill it out at the end. And we actually do listen. It seems like no one's listening, but we're listening. And this was created by Melissa, this session, and we're giving it twice. Yay! In order to help you work with Google Sites for those of you who either want to do it from Mashov, want to do it from Google Classroom, or want to do that just in general, projects and everything else. Let's see if we can help our 11th and 12th grade students at least get their project done virtually. So Melissa, hoo-hoo, go, go, go.
Okay, thank you very much, Judy. So I welcome everybody. We have a couple of goals today in this meeting. The first goal is to talk about what we can accomplish between now and the end of the year in terms of our projects, checking off one more thing on the list. I think that the tools that we learned today are something that don't necessarily have to only be for now during the Corona fiasco, I'm starting to call it, but rather it's something that we can learn tools today that we can use next year, regardless of whether or not we are home, in school, whatever. They're just good, excellent tools to use technology and virtual tools in working on projects. So I hope that regardless, you'll find this very useful and you'll continue to use these tools in the future. And then we also have some sample projects that I've stuck in here. I don't think any single one of the projects is perfect. I think that whatever projects we show you today, you can look at them and say what works for your students, what doesn't work for your students. And I thought a lot about, should I put up things that aren't perfect? And I said, you know what, that's okay. I'm giving you what I'm giving you. You'll look at it and you'll see what you like, what you don't like, and then make it appropriate for your students. Just because my project says 3-4 points on it doesn't mean that it's, you can't make it work for a 4 or 5 point group, and vice versa, a 5-point project that you can scale back to a 4-point project. Just use whatever you have. In addition to that, I'm going to be showing you some virtual tools today. And again, I haven't assigned them, I haven't written in stone which tools are perfect for which projects, because I think that they can be used for a lot of projects. I think it's up to you to see what your students like, offer the tools to your students, see how your students want to use them. It's okay, nothing is written in stone, but we're here to share some ideas with each other. And Adele's going to share an idea as well. And I'm going to share my screen now because we're all sharing today, because that's what we do best, we share. Okay, so I need to move this out of the way and open my virtual project writing. My gosh, everything's in the way. Okay, share, no, present. Sorry, we will be there very soon. Present, there we go. Back to the beginning, because why would I ever have it at the beginning? Okay, there we go. Virtual, no, still not. 1 second, what are we up to? Okay. So the first point that I want to stress here is that we don't want to just send a project home to our students and say, do this, hand it in on May 30th, because there's no learning process involved there. And we know that we're in this virtual learning scenario for long enough that we really want to make sure that our students continue improving their skills and learning something from us and from each other along the way. And we all know that the most important element of learning is really the dialogue that's involved in it, the back and forth. It's very difficult to do when you've got 35 noisy students sitting in a classroom, everybody pushing for your attention at the same time. But one of the values of doing something on a technical basis, Google Docs or whatever it is we choose to use, is that you can have a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds to look at your students' work, comment to them, and get responses from them, and really open up a dialogue with your students while they're working on their project. And a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of writing process conferencing, if you will, is something that can really jump students ahead in their writing skills, which is great also for the writing project, the project writing, for their project, but also for their C module writing, their E module thinking process, their G module writing. You know, the writing skills that they learn in working on a project will benefit them in many, many different areas, not just in doing the writing project. And I'm emphasizing that because I don't believe in doing a project. I believe in learning writing skills and putting them to use as we create a research project. And I think that this has been working on a research project with my students is probably the most valuable, meaningful project that I do. In fact, in my school, we do it in 10th grade. I think, Adele, you also do your project in 10th grade. And one of the reasons for that is we get their skills up. They improve their skills a lot early in the game. And those writing skills also, oh, I didn't mention the literature. We need them to have writing skills to work on the literature as well. So why not put a significant amount of time into teaching them the writing skills in 10th grade and not saving them for later. That being said, our focus right now is we're looking at those 12th graders. I think that most 12th graders probably have their projects written already because the oral Bagrut was supposed to be January, March, April, but I assume that everybody's done with that by now. But we might be looking at our 11th graders now, already worrying about next year, thinking about maybe the Bagrut skills, which might be difficult to teach them via the internet. But if we can put another tick in another box, we can look at them getting their project written now at the end of the year, between now and the end of June. And then next year we'll have one more thing done out of the way, and we'll be able to spend more time on other things face-to-face in the classroom. And so one thing that we're going to be talking about today is how to use Google Docs to help create that virtual dialogue. We're going to talk about how to use the comments, how to assign tasks to people using the editing versus suggesting, and history. We're going to go into that, and I'm going to actually show it to you. I'm going to play with Adele a little bit, so we'll see how to use that. But before we get to that, I'd like to talk about getting organized. Our greatest challenge with long distance learning really is always, we have to really consolidate the task. We've already learned over the last week and a half of our Zoom sessions with our students and with each other here, that in a Zoom, you can accomplish maybe a quarter or a third of what you would actually accomplish in class. And so then we also have to think about the project is really like how to streamline that project, give them the minimum amount of tasks, the minimum amount of assignments to maximize the value of what it is you're doing. So we need to really consolidate the lesson and the task, give it to them in bite-sized chunks that they have the overall picture of what the project is, and then each bit at a time, okay, do this week, it's due on Sunday, okay? Next Sunday, the following piece is due. And so that they really know very clearly what's expected from them and where you're going. I think that's, without that, you can't just give them something. I'm repeating myself, I know, but it's really important. You can't just give them a huge chunk of a project and expect them to do anything other than just copy it off the internet, right? One of the values of doing what I'm suggesting, which is giving them the overall assignment, but then say, okay, by Sunday, do the following. By the following Sunday, do the following. And if you don't give me in the outline, if you don't give me in the interview questions, if you don't give me in this, that's points off your final project. They have to have a rubric saying every Sunday morning's assignment is worth X number of points in their final project. Okay, so really think about how to clearly break it down for them so they can't get away with just saying, oh, I didn't do all of that, so I'm just handing you in this great project that I bought off the internet, and you have to give me 100 because I know that some professional wrote it. No, you say you didn't do the work along the way, so then you're missing part of your grade, a significant part of your grade, because the process of writing is what we're really looking for here. So we have varied and engaging assignments to different topics here. And then we're also going to show you some tools for keeping track of who handed in what and when. And we need to choose tools that are comfortable for us to use and that also will help our students stay organized and to keep us, help us stay organized. So this is basically, this is again a summary of what we want to talk about today. We have our planning stages before we even talk to our students. We have to share the project assignment with them. Then you might want to use, you want to use Zoom to present the project to them, to help brainstorm ideas. I want to add in the word brainstorm there afterwards on number 3, brainstorm and presentation. Divide it into tasks of either twice a week or once a week, handing in things. And then how are we going to give feedback and assessment to our students? Okay, so I collected here a bunch of different tools that might be really useful and I think are really fun tools to help your students work on their project. Okay, so what you're seeing right now, I'm starting on the right-hand side. Okay, these are things that you might be more familiar with. Google Slides is what you're looking at now. You might choose to have your students present their material in Google Slides. Each slide is another part of the project. You could even give them a template of a Google slide that they have to use. At the top of each slide is a question for the week or question for the day, and they have to fill in the information on that slide. And if you have a series of 10 or 15 Google slides with each one being a mini part of the project, that might, or links to other materials in there, it might be a great way of presenting your project. Another presentation tool is Google Sites. Adele spoke about Google Sites last night, and I assume that after Pesach she's going to be doing another presentation on Google Sites. It's something that's very popular.
Tomorrow.
After
tomorrow.
Pesach. Oh, tomorrow already.
Yeah, tomorrow at 1.
Oh, amazing. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so tomorrow at 1, you can hear Adele talk about Google Sites. But just to give you a little bit of a taste, I've asked
If you weren't
Adele,
there already. If you were there already, don't come.
It's the same thing. She's repeating the same thing that she did yesterday, right? Wow, I'm losing track of days. Is today Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? I have no idea what today is.
Corona Day.
So Google Sites is also a great way of the student presenting their final project. And then the other items here are a lot of tools that they can use for parts of their projects. I'll talk about a couple of them. Story Jumper in the upper left-hand corner. They basically create a book. They can copy or slide in different icons, different backgrounds, different characters, and on the facing page write text. And that might be a great way of presenting something creatively in their project. Let's say, like I'm just finishing up my matkonot here. My students wrote about challenged people. So they interviewed a person and then they wrote up, some of them wrote a real interview, some of them wrote a simulated interview that they had with a student, with a person who was born with challenges or was injured during life and needed to work to overcome those challenges. So they can present that interview or the information that they found out about that person in the form of a storybook.
Okay, Melissa, I want to just say one more thing. I thought you were going to get to this later, but you got to it now, and so I'm sorry, I was doing something else. One of the things that I'd like all of you to think about in your heads, not just have we moved to virtual learning, but also I want you to think about your projects in a different way. Up until now, you've handed in projects that were paper, and they had a staple, or they were put in a spiral, but they were printed on a printer, okay? And I want you to step out of that box, okay? I want you to step out of the box into a place where all of our virtual tools now are fair game for a project. They don't have to come in with a piece of paper into an oral Bagrut anymore. So what other kinds of tools can we use now when you want to do a presentation, when you guys have all been watching our presentations? Sometimes we show you a clip, and sometimes we take you into a Google site, and sometimes we show a picture of something and ask you to describe it. And sometimes we put in a survey and we send you a Google form. And sometimes all of those tools now are part of production of their product. production of their project. In other words, how are they going to show you their knowledge? There are many, many, many ways now that we can use tools on the net that are more vibrant and variant and varied and amazing in order for them to show their knowledge that isn't just a Word document that has 16 pages and a bibliography at the end. Okay? So I want you to start thinking, as Melissa is speaking, about a different type of project for your students. Okay? And always keep that in mind, that we're not talking about what we've done, we're talking about what we will do. Sorry, Melissa.
Thank you. I was thinking back, like the NBA project was what, 2002? What year did that project, did the concept of doing an NBA project first come out? It was a very long time ago. The world
The dinosaurs someplace walking.
Mamash, a very long time ago. And it's important for us to update it. I'll just add on to what Judy's said before I go back to talking very briefly. Most of these are linked so you can read more about each of these tools on your own. But I think it's really important to not think that the project is extinct just because it's not worth a lot of points on the COBE, on the oral group. It's a critical part of what we do as English teachers. I could get on my soapbox and talk about that for a really long time, but there's so many tools. If we're talking about the tools that students need to master to work in the 21st century, to be 21st century learners, it's all what they are applying to their project work now. And these are just different, if it's Google Slides, Story Jumper, Flipgrid, I'm sure you're familiar with. It's like the students can make little videos and upload them. Let that be part of your project. Let the oral presentation be part of the research project. Think about how to include an oral element, because they can record it and link it into their project very easily.
Melissa?
Yes.
Before you go on, Limor asks, is it reasonable to give 60% for product and 40% on process?
I think it's reasonable. I think especially if you want to make sure that they're going through that process. I think it's a very important conversation to have with your staff. So that the entire English staff is on board. It wouldn't be fair if one teacher does something very different from another teacher. And I think it's important to get the okay of your principal, because if any student doesn't go through that process and loses 40% of their grade, the principal's going to hear about it. And so he needs to really understand your rationale for doing that. Even if it's 30%, even if the process is 30%, it's still enough or 30%, it's still enough to give them a whammy if they don't do the work as you've asked them to do. So make sure that you have an open conversation with that in your school before you decide for sure. I see other questions coming up, Adela. Are there other questions as long as I've stopped?
Limor says she can't hear. Tali asked if you're going to show, which of the tools are you going to show? Are you going to show how to work on any of them?
We're going to talk about Google Docs. We're going to look at Google Sites. The fake book I'm going to show a little bit. But most of them are really very self-explanatory. For me to go in and show you where to click, Haley talked about a lot of them in her writing session 2 days ago. So if anybody has requests, I can spend a couple of minutes looking at one with you. I'd like to just
No, not now. I'd rather you work on the process in the Google Docs. And if they have a problem, they should write in the form that they need more help on a specific tool, and we will create sessions right now I want to talk about the pedagogy of what we're doing and not specific tools. So if you're going to need help with a specific tool, write it in the form.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, fine. So since I already clicked on this, I'll just show you that Glogster, they can make posters. They can make virtual posters that can help illustrate if it's a cover page or if it's, some kind of a collage that they want to make in order to add some element to their poster. Then Glogster is a very highly rated site to do that. But I'll go back now to our presentation and, how to make cartoons that I like to see so much, but some people love it. Another presentation tool, Adamoto, is to make your photos into some kind of a video. Fakebook is to present, it's like Facebook, but it's fake. So they can put all of the, they can create a fake book for, also in literature, a character, but also in their project, the same ideas. If they've interviewed a person, or if they've learned about a certain country, we have a country project here, you have to think about how they're going to present the information that they have found. So Fakebook is a great way to do it, and MapHub, they can make a virtual map of all of the places that they're visiting. So let's take the idea for a minute of them, your students, we're all trapped at home now. So we're all thinking about wanting to get back out into the world again. I just saw this morning on Facebook that people are there's a photo challenge of posting photos of places that you've been, but with nobody in it, just looking at the places people have been. And I was thinking that my kids are sitting home saying, where am I going to go when this is all over? So if we take that and we feed into that, okay, we're meeting them where they are right now. I'm trapped at home, I want to get out. Okay, so let's get out virtually, okay? So then what are you going to want to present about that place? What are you going to want to learn about that place that you're going to visit, and how are you going to present it? So let them start doing research about how other people do present places. Like, let's say they wanted to go to, gosh, I'm really having trouble with the layout on my screen today. Let's say they wanted to go to Holland. Okay, they wanted to research Holland, and we want to know what places to visit. Okay, so let them start by looking and seeing what's out there. But we all know that when we're starting to plan a trip, there are 800 websites about the 10 best places to visit, the 13 best places to visit, right? And if we click on any of these places, there are tons of gorgeous pictures. Okay. So when you start with those gorgeous pictures, but what else is there? There are family vacations. They have to start making decisions. What kind of a trip are they going to plan? Are they going to plan a family trip? Are they going to plan a weekend romantic getaway? What other ideas do these sites present to you? You need to get them to open it up and not just say, well, there are lots of places, there are lots of websites already about visiting Holland. Why do I have to make another one? And so what I'm recommending that you do is you let them focus on specifically what they need. A research question here, okay? I want to plan a 5-day family vacation to Holland, visiting 3 Jewish sites and 4 physical activity type of places. And once they start to plan out exactly what type of vacation they want, then they can start doing the research between the different sites, collecting their resources, etc., as they start to build the virtual project. Once they start to see what's available on the internet, going into these different topics, and cognitively, like they need to think about, they need to switch their brains. They need to switch their brains from reading about stuff to, no, I'm going to create my own website. And so here, Adele, I'd like you to show a Google site for a couple of minutes. And I want to because when Adele shows a Google site, I want you to see what the potential is of using Google site to present the project. It's not a 10-page, turn the page, lots of writing with a lot of mistakes that the teacher's creating, but rather how they can graphically show their project on a Google site, and where we have a lot of links to more information. But what do I want to show? What do I want to link? These are a lot of the questions they need to ask as they start to plan their project virtually. Go ahead, Adele. What do we see?
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just, first of all, I do these, I've been doing projects on Google Sites for at least the past 6 or 7 years, because we do the project in Kita Yud in our school, and I just got so tired of students saying, I can't find my project, the dog ate it, my mother lost it, we moved house, blah, blah, blah. So that's when I started saying, I had done the Google Teachers Academy, and I learned about Google Sites, and I saw how wonderful they are, and I said, this is the answer. nobody can ever lose their sight ever, ever, ever again. And so what I'm showing you now, so what I do is teach them, first of all, how to build a site. And I give them a template so that everybody's site is basically built in the same format. And all they have to do is put in the content. And they can make their covers as beautiful or not as they want to. This pair of kids did not make it especially gorgeous. You can change the heading and everything, but they have everything that they need here. And so in a Google site, the great thing about Google Sites is that you can embed anything that's Google, like it talks to Google tools. So this is how our sites are built. There's the home page that always has the reflection question, the research question, the name of the school, the teacher, the names of the students. These students put something here, and I added their embedded as a Google form, a Google Doc. I embedded their rubric. There's the introduction page, and all of these are Google Docs that they've embedded within their site. And Melissa and I are going to show you soon how to work back and forth on Google Sites, but this is how I get my kids to do their projects now, and they can add other stuff. They can add appendices.
Can you click on the bibliography a second, please?
I hope they did it right.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter if they did it right or not. That's not the issue. The point is, what I really like about using this Google site, and I love what you've done here, Adele, is I started by saying that it's, as teachers, we need to stay super organized, and through that, the students have a template into which they can stay organized. And so the headings across the top of the page, every time the student opens their Google site, they're going to go, oh, voila, I have to remember to keep saving my bibliography information. Oh, I haven't written my introduction yet, I saved that for later. Everything is open in front of them, and they have to remember, it reminds them of what they need to work on.
Another thing that was really good was in the process, we do the enabling skills before we do the project, and they were told that they have to upload all of the work that we did for the project, all of the appendices they had to upload here, so I can actually see the process of their work. Oh, when they give me permission.
The other thing I want to say, if I may, when Haley showed her Google Sites yesterday, one of the things she had in her project that she was doing, which I absolutely flipped over, was they videoed their reflection. They spoke their reflection, and they videotaped themselves with the phone, reflecting on the process of what they had done. So it wasn't just putting Google Docs into each section. There were also videos in each section, not just of themselves, but that they had found on YouTube of things that were relevant. There were photos in the section of the Google site as well. And the thing that I really loved was the fact that they gave personal reflection that they had recorded, and they uploaded the film as their reflection. And that brought a little bit, what we can do, and we can take that even further now, is having them do their presentation recorded, where they record the presentation of their project, even on Zoom or whatever. They can do a recording with you or with their friends or with the class or with whatever, and they can upload that. And that's a great way to get them speaking about their project already and describing and recording themselves. And we have the technology to do that. And if it's two of them, then they can, do it together. They can make the reflection or the video of the presentation together, and it makes it more dynamic. So not only Google Docs in each section, but again, out of the box into other ways of presentation and production.
Right.
And
Okay.
tomorrow, if you want to learn more, tomorrow come join me at 1.
Yeah, okay, for more in-depth about Google Sites, thank you. But I just think it really added a lot to what we're talking about today, so it needed to be here. Okay. So
Hang
here's
on, we
somebody
have,
else.
wait a minute, we have some questions. Do you have to have permissions? Yes, you have to have permissions on their work. Templates, I'll try and remember to share a template if I can find it. And when is the next session on Google Sites? Tomorrow at 1. Right, shoot.
Great. Okay, thank you. Okay, so here's a nice 3-point project about your hero. Some of our weakest students, they don't necessarily know about places in the world. They can't think about where they would want to visit, but almost everybody has a hero. If it's a soccer star or if it's a musician or an actress or whatever it is, somebody has somebody, they know somebody that they would like to know more about. And so it's a great opportunity to teach them the value of research. So once again, what we have here, I see Karen is here. She sent this to me. Thank you, Karen. She's even translated a little bit into Hebrew to help them through the process of staying organized. But she has the English first, and then the Hebrew is on the side. So she's kind of glossing it to help them through the process of understanding the parts of the project. Cover page, table of contents, opening, introduction, facts about your hero, a heroic deed that they did, an interview. It's either they're a hero or they're reading a lot about the hero and then writing this interview as if, writing a personal letter to the hero, the pictures, and the conclusion. Okay, and every single section, they know how many points it's worth. So they can decide, I guess, if it's worth working on it. So that's a very
Melissa, 10 minutes.
Now. Oh, wow. Karen, give us 2 seconds on how you would make this into upgrade this to a virtual project. I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't prepare you for this. Open your microphone and share with us. We don't hear you yet.
Who's this, Karen? Here, okay.
This is me, yes. Okay, so first of all, it was designed for a very, very weak 3-point group of boys and who were actually interested in going the summer to Georgia, right? And so I designed it for something that I knew that they're going to do, and so I would actually turn into something on Google Slides where they can upload like a Flipgrid, talk about their, like maybe even show, even upload a video of the place that they want to go, and talk about it on Flipgrid where they can describe, they can describe the place that they want to see or the beaches they're interested in visiting. That's one of the ways that I would like just offhand,
okay.
Add
Great.
something to this project.
Okay, thank you. And what I really like about that, Karen, is that you are acknowledging that they're going to have to speak about their project in the long run on the oral Bagrut right from the beginning, mm-hmm. and you're keeping them. Thank you very much. Okay, so that's the Heroes Project. We have a birthday project, which has a very clear template. Also, this is for very weak students. I'll show this to you very quickly because some project unionized. So the entire thing is laid out as almost a fill-in-the-blank project, where some of it is more open writing and open research, but a lot of it is straightforward, filling in the ID card, their favorite things. They like the name. What's my name? What does my name mean? Why was I given this name? And you'll go through, I don't want to take too much time because I want to get into Google Docs for the few minutes that I have left, but this is a very nice project to look at for weaker students. And you can give them a choice. If there's a page that they want to leave out, they can leave out a page as well. And again, I want you to think about what virtual tools, how can they make this more than simply pages? What pictures can they bring in? And everything is in color. Can they include a video or a virtual map of all of the places that they've lived? Use Map Hub so they can put dots on all the places they visited in the world. And what's important to them. Think about what you can bring in that they can show that normally, if it was on paper, it would be more difficult to show. I spoke about this country project already, but what I would like to go into here is a student sample, okay? This student, I changed her name, hopefully, so it shouldn't be too, oh, I didn't change the name, I should do that right now, okay? we're going to look at this and we're going to see that she started writing, she started filling in information about this, but not everything is perfect, okay? So I want to help her through the process, okay? So what I'm going to do here, you can all see my screen, right? Is I want to ask her to change something in the rationale, okay? So I'm going to highlight rationale, and then over here a little plus box adds up, opens up. I can add a comment, okay? So I'm going to say, looking good. Remember to blah, 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 whatever it is I want her to remember to do on her rationale, okay?
Did you share
And I
this
wanna
with
make
me,
sure that she sees
Melissa?
that right away. It should be open for you to see. That's a good question. Judy, are you still with us? No, I think she had to go out. Okay.
Put it
so
in my
I
WhatsApp?
hope it's going to work.
We can see it.
No, so what I'm going to do is I made an @ sign, a strudel,
No,
okay?
I'm here. I just thought you were doing it with Adele, so I got
Yeah, but you didn't share it with me. You can
so
share
I'll
it with me
open it.
now. Share it with me now.
Okay, so I'm assigning, because Adele's going to play with me today, I put the @ sign, and then Adele's email address comes up because she's the one who's pretending to be Geely today. And now she's going to get a comment right to her email address. It's right to her email, and she's going to know right away that I looked at her piece and that I commented on it. I want to make sure that, yeah, it's already shared with you, Adele.
Did you
So
do it with
should-
A. Raymer?
Yes. Okay, so now Adele's gotten to her email
Got it.
already, the comment that I sent to her. So she can click on that comment, and Adele, tell us what you're doing.
I'm going into the link, and my name is not Adele, it's Geely.
Right?
Looking good. Oh, gee whiz.
So she's clicking on that and opening up the comment, and it takes her right back into the Google Doc. And so if she's on her phone or wherever she is, she can respond to me. Sorry, you didn't have a chance. Corona, you know. Okay, so I'm not buying that. So I can right away reply to her, okay? Deadline approaching. Hope you find the time. Okay. And then I click reply, and right away she gets back. There's no time delay. Things keep moving forward. I've opened up a dialogue with her. I'm saying, wow, I'm really reading your paper. I'm really following along. I remember what I've assigned. Make sure that you remember it as well. Oh, and that quickly Adele was able to make the change. She added the blah, blah, blah.
One
And
second.
now-
Karen asked a pertinent question, and I want to answer her. You can make a comment anywhere on the document. At all times, you can have 7,000 comments, okay? However, they will all get a little bit confused. I suggest you don't comment on every single thing every single time, okay? It's a dialogue. It's not a deluge, okay? And when something is done, then Melissa will show you how to hit resolve, and so that part will go away, okay?
Exactly.
But you can comment anywhere. You just select the text and comment, okay?
So if
Melissa,
I
are
could-
you working in this suggesting mode? Did you show
I'm
them?
going to in a second. Okay. So I want to make another comment here. So look, I can just highlight in another place, and I could add another comment here. Okay. So then the big one that I was doing shrinks, and then I have space that I can start writing my next comment. Okay. But this shrunk one has been resolved. Adele took care of it. I want it out of the way. So we can mark as done, and we hide the entire discussion. It goes away, okay? Even the highlighted thing over here goes away so that we know that it's solved. Whereas this one is still unresolved, so it's still here, so we can keep working on it. Another thing, if this student has a lot of, I don't love doing this, but sometimes it works. I go into editing mode, okay? And if I click on editing with the little pencil, I have a choice to edit directly on the document, or I can suggest. And if I click on suggesting, I see that, I don't know, she's misspelled, let's say she's misspelled happen, okay? Or I don't think that word should be there, okay? So I highlight the word and I can delete the word, but then look, it opens up a comment for her where she sees that I'm suggesting that she deletes the word happen. and she can ask why, or she can ask, whatever she wants, or she can simply accept. So if she wants to accept it, she clicks on the check mark here and watch what happens. Oh, she accepted it already as we were talking. She accepted it, so then that word went away, and then the new word is, in its place, or whatever change it is. And I can do it for as much. I can do whole paragraphs. I can do simply punctuation, whatever it is. What I don't like, the reason I don't like doing that is very often I find that my students don't even look at the changes I'm making. They just click accept, 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 and they're not even looking and they're not learning anything. So what I prefer to do is like highlight a whole paragraph and say, check your commas. Or I'll highlight a whole sentence and say, like, sentence fragment or spelling or whatever it is. So you need to think about how you want to work with that, so that you don't overdo, just make it too easy for them to make the corrections. So those are a couple of things that I'm sure they need to have students share with you so that you can see it. And so they need to make sure that it says anyone with this link can edit, okay? And then they need to share it with you. The other options are edit, comment, or view. I suggest that you leave it open to editing, because maybe there are other things that you're going to want to do in the paper. You're going to want to have full access to the paper, okay? And then they
Okay, 5 minutes, Melissa.
They have to put in your address. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so that is a quickie on Google Docs. Once again, all of these things on YouTube have tons and tons of YouTube instruction videos where they'll take you through it more slowly, so that you can see exactly, more tools that you have in Google Docs. Reminding you that you have a history in Google Docs. I forgot to show you that. And where you can see previous versions of the paper. So if something gets lost or they want to put a paragraph back in, everything stays there. And that's an important thing to remember, so that they can't say, oh gosh, I deleted something and I really want it back, it's gone forever. Nope, nothing is ever gone forever with Google Docs, unless you delete the document. If you delete the document, it's gone. Yeah, you can totally, that happened to my student once. She left it open when she went to lunch. Somebody else deleted the whole thing and it was gone. Her whole project was gone forever. It was just terrible. So I tend to, when my students get to a certain point in the Google Doc, I archive it. I save my own, I make a copy, I rename it, and I save it in my own file somewhere, so that if the student does something crazy, like, it's never gone forever, especially with my less organized students. The Challenged People project is for a higher level class, I think. It's more of a 4 or 5 point project. You're welcome to look at that as well. Conflict is a beautiful project that Judy made. I'm really just about out of time, so you'll have to look at these yourselves. But this it asks to look for a person who made a difference in history, in a place of conflict, and you'll see the different parts of the project. What I wanted to show you here is that perhaps you want to give your readers background, how to make this into a virtual project. Maybe you want to give your readers more background. You can embed a video. You can't really embed a video in a Google Doc. On a Google site, you can embed a video, but what I've done here is I've taken a picture from the video that I might want to embed, and I've linked it. Okay, I copied and pasted a picture in here, and then I clicked on insert a link, okay? And then the link that I inserted is the link to the YouTube where we'll learn more about this incredibly influential person in history. And she can actually have that in the body of her Google Doc project, and then certainly on a website, on a Google site, or in Google Slides, you can actually embed the videos, and so that she can write under here, please watch this video to learn about this time in history where this influential person comes from. And it's a way of upgrading it and making it, the entire project, really into an experience rather than simply into a turning the paper kind of a project. Your students know how to do this. They may need a little bit of help, but a lot of them know this really very, very well. Here's a Google Slides on plagiarism. Because we're working on the internet where it's so easy to copy, it's really important to run through this. It might be too much information for your students, but you can make a copy of this Google slide and Google presentation and pare it down to what your students need to know about what's plagiarism and what's not. And as we saw on Adele's site, she had a rubric on the very front of the site, a rubric for how the grade will be graded. Also in Karam's project, there was a rubric right at the beginning. Really important for the students to know what work needs to go into it for them to get the grade that they're looking for. And so, I mean, that's the entire slideshow. We're just about out of time.
Okay, thank you. I've just put the link again for the Google Doc, I hope. I'm putting the wrong link in.
Thank you. Yeah, make sure that you fill out the link. Please give us suggestions for what you want to hear about next week. Going to Adele's session on Google Sites tomorrow will really be like part 2 of what I've spoken about today. It's really has a lot of great information in it. And it's amazing to see your faces. You're still smiling. You're not like going crazy, staying at home. Hey, I look like a Corona thingy. And I miss you all. I hope you're well.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It was fantastic. Adele, thank you. Always. I have the best counselors on the planet.
Just because our leader's so great. Take care.
We love you all and hope to see you at more sessions. And coordinators, don't forget, session tomorrow at 9 a.m. Important. Nag your coordinators if you're not a coordinator. And if you are a coordinator, make sure that you've signed up either for 9 or 9.
9 a.m. It's before, we are still asleep, but we'll,
So 9 p.m.
Try to do it before potential lessons, and then for kids with parents for little kids after they're already been bunked and sleeping.
Yofi. All right. Good luck,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye all. Have a good day.
You too.